Welcome to the Secrets of Asset Protection. My name is Douglas Lodmell, and today we're going to look at real estate. And in particular, we're going to look at real estate that's gone negative on you, and a strategy for specifically dealing with a portion of your portfolio that has gone into negative equity. So let's get started. First, let's take a look at a sample net worth analysis. Number one, home. $675,000 is the value. This column here is fair market value. This is not what you paid for the home. This is not what you paid for the asset. It's not how much you invested in it. It's not what you put into it. It's not tenant improvements. It's today's fair market value. And if you're doing this analysis, be honest about this number. It's going to help you a great deal. So today's fair market value, $675,000. The mortgage, $500,000. And gives us a net plus of $175,000. Number two, office building. Fair market value today, $435,000. Mortgage, $400,000. Net, positive $35,000. If you end up looking at that, cost of sale, etc., it would be a wash, at least. Three, a rental building. Today's fair market value, $350,000. Let's say this is a single family home. Let's say you purchased it for $650,000, very likely today, and that's how you ended up with a mortgage of $525,000, and that's how you ended up today with negative equity of $175,000, and likely falling. Number four, commercial real estate, $750,000, fair market value. Look at the mortgage though, $1.2 million. How'd that happen? Well, values fell. You might have $1.8 million into this piece of property. Doesn't matter. Today it's worth $750,000. So 1.2, negative $450,000. That's your equity position. You're negative. Cash and liquid assets, $400,000. There is no debt against that. It's worth $400,000. Retirement accounts, $375,000. No debt. That's worth $375,000. Also, that might have been worth $1 million. I understand that. Today it's worth $375,000. That's the number you really need to use. And the more honest you are with these numbers, the better this strategy is going to work. And then finally, other miscellaneous, $300,000. There's no debt on that, $300,000. So what do we have? We have a net, for this example, of $690,000. That's the net. That's not the value of all the assets. The value of all the assets is more. But once you take out the negatives, we're down to $690,000. So what's the strategy? Let's take a look at the strategy. The asset protection strategy we're going to use here is to divide your assets up into two baskets. A good basket, you can call it good apples, and a bad basket, call them bad apples. Bad apples are apples that have a worm in them. They've been corrupted. If you put the bad apples in with good apples, we know what happens. The worms easily move from the bad apples to the good apples, thus corrupting the whole bunch. If you have your real estate now all in your own name, they're all in one basket. So your good apples and your bad apples are together. The strategy involves separating the good and bad apples. But you can't do that until you know which ones are good and which ones are bad. And so this is a very important step. So if we look back, what are our good apples? Well, our home and our office building. Those are good apples. They have pluses here. The office building is also something particularly, if you're using it for your office, it's definitely something you want to hold on to. So we're going to take both of those and put them in the good side. That's the home and the office. Okay? Let's look at the next thing. The rental and the commercial real estate. These are bad apples now. I know at one time they were good apples. Today they're bad apples. So you have to count them as bad apples. So right there, rental property and the commercial real estate, $625,000 just of negative equity. So we've got the rental, we've got the commercial. and it's $625,000. Those are on the bad side. Let's take a look at the rest of the assets. Cash, liquid assets, that's good, clearly. Retirement accounts, that's good. And then other miscellaneous, by and large, that's going to be good. So we have cash, retirement, and other. Those are good apples. So what are we going to do? Got bad apples, and we've got good apples. And the good apples, you actually can cover. You're actually positive in your net worth. So the banks would love for you to just cover this deficiency. You can write a check for it. You can pull money out of your retirement, and you can go ahead and pay the banks. Or you can specifically adopt this strategy. And here's what this strategy does. This strategy walks away from the bad apples. So we just walk away. That means you stop paying your mortgage. What's the cost of this to you? The cost of this is two things. One, your credit. Clearly your credit is going to be damaged by walking away, handing the bank a deed in lieu of foreclosure, or letting them foreclose. That's one cost. What's the other cost? The other cost is the potential that the bank is going to go after you for the deficiency amount of the mortgage. How much is that deficiency amount? It's $625,000, so it's not a little bit. But what can you do to make the chances of the bank doing that lower? That's where the strategy comes in. We're going to take your good assets and we're going to wrap them up. We're going to wrap them up in what's called asset protection. We're going to go into an asset protection plan. Now, I'm not going to explain what that is here. There are other videos on this website that you can look at that will explain in detail. But suffice it to say, for the purposes of this video, that doing that is a huge step for you. You've separated the bad from the good. You've walked away, so you quit bleeding cash. You've assessed the costs, which in this case is the cost to your credit and the cost of the actual cash that's going out, and the possibility that you might be called upon. Now, is this strategy working for me and for my clients? The answer is yes, it's working great, and here's why. Banks right now are overloaded. They have a lot of files on their desks. Bankers are people, and they have a desk, and they have files in the workout department that they have to get through. When they go looking at your file, if you have separated this and created a barrier, this barrier does not mean that they cannot get to these assets. What it means is that they have to work to get to these assets. What does that do for you? It gives you leverage. It gives you the capacity to settle with the bank or have the bank simply walk away. And in today's environment, the banks are walking away. So this is actually a way that you can change the picture and walk away from $625,000 of negative debt. And what's that going to do to your net worth? Well, what's it going to do to your net worth is you have a $690,000 net worth. If you count the debt, it's going to basically double it, because you're going to walk away from $625,000. That's going to get added back, and you're going to end up with $1.3 million. Now, is this foolproof? No, nothing's foolproof. Is this the very best strategy that you can use at this moment in time to maximize your chances? Absolutely. Now, how do you go about doing this? First of all, don't do it alone. Asset protection is not something to play around with. You need to call an attorney that understands this and that can specifically advise you. Based on this example, don't go out and consider that you have a full strategy in place. Call me, and I will be happy to go over your specific situation and let you know what a strategy would be for you. After that, it's a poker game, and you have to be able to play poker. But if you're willing to take some steps now, you can save yourself a great deal. And really, there's been no better time than right now to implement this strategy. And with the market going down, the odds of this working are very high. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for joining me on the Secrets of Asset Protection series. Take your power.